Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? It is another Monday. Hope you had a good Labor Day. Well, some interesting stuff happened over the weekend for us to talk about. First of all, let me get the music going here. Where is my there we go. Didn't have that ready. See, I'm just wasn't prepared. Oh, look, do I not even have voice meter on? Jeez. There we go. All right. To the charts. So we come over here to the treasuries and So I forgot about non-farms, man. Non-farms was wild, and because of well, I don't know, because it was not a very good. Oh, wait. You're not even seeing anything. Okay, that one's correct. What's wrong with this one? Probably just the source is messed up. I was messing around with the monitors and everything, so that's probably... There we go. Okay. Anyways, we ended up moving lower on the week, though, after the non-farms, and I mean, there was a lot of stuff in the numbers. It's hard for me to, sort out what actually it was. But you can see here over Labor Day and in the overnight action, yields are a little bit higher, and we're back to 4.2, almost 2.5. We're at 4.23. So basically where we were, only a few days ago. In the S&P 500, doing okay, a little bit lower, but nothing too bad. Oil, after having quite a strong rise. I was actually, I think I saw a note that Goldman was saying something like 98 was their price target. Gold and silver taking these higher yields pretty hard. Copper doing okay, but giving up some of its gains from last Thursday when it was looking really good. Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin continues to just look a little sad. And the dollar? Well, the dollar is pushing highs here, 104.7. Interesting. So we've definitely had some curious moves overnight. Kind of puts us in a strange situation. Next thing we need to do is we need to look at what our week is going to be like. What do we got for news coming up and so forth. This week. Oops, I need to turn on all of the event types. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's more than just that. Okay, so today... Oh, wait, Tuesday, factory orders. Tomorrow, ISM services PMI, pretty major number. And then we get revised non-farm productivity, etc. A bunch of Fed speakers. Right, so it's actually a pretty light week in terms of economic data, at least compared to last week. So I guess next week is CPI and so forth. Gotcha. Okay, so it's a little bit lighter. Also, we got to factor in expiration. So just note that expiration is because the first day of the month was a Friday. That means that you basically get a shorter expiration. So the 15th will be expiration. That's kind of important too. And so I kind of see volatility being somewhat constrained until the 15th. After that, then the risks, like that kind of period where we thought, hey, maybe things will turn south, that's when it starts. Okay. So I think we could get some movement here. I'm uncertain which way the flows are going to be now that the US session has started. We haven't really seen any like super strong clues since we've opened up here. Given it's Tuesday after a holiday, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious here. Be looking for, if there is a meta order, I want to see them starting to mess around fairly early here. So this is the game plan for today. I'll blow my nose here. And just write down a note here. Man, I still get those kind of, like, sometimes I'll get like little pops and stuff. I don't know. There's a bunch of things I want from my computer. I think I want to build a new computer. I think I want a new monitor. This monitor is kind of starting to go. Actually, although it looks like the artifacts that I was getting are gone. Oh no, they're still there. They're still there. You guys probably can't see them, but I've been getting like these strange artifacts at the top. Where's my ZB? That's weird. There it is. It won't pop up. Oh, no, that's ZB. This ZB. There we go. Okay. All right. Breakout kids trapped. What is your opinion on the current market and economy, man? That's that. Whoa. So what's going on here? Hold on. Feel like I missed something. Fed's Waller. Oh, was that not on my... That was not on any of my calendars. Fed's Waller is speaking. It is spiking the dollar. Okay, recent data will allow the Fed to... Oh, because he's on CNBC. Okay. The recent data will allow the Fed to proceed carefully, says Fed's Waller on CNBC. Says it's not surprising that the unemployment rate has ticked up. Well, so my current opinion on the economy is that the labor market is not as strong as it has appeared. I think that started to become very apparent in the last report when they revised the previous data points down. Oh, you know what? So I totally forgot about this. So let's let this Feds Waller let's let this interview on CNBC pass first, and then I got something that I did on Friday to show you. I don't know if what he said there is actually as important and market moving as the market is moving. Everything is a mess, but all is well. But you know what? That's economics for you. He's saying one more hike is unlikely to send the market into a recession. Because I've kind of been thinking, hey, has this data been lying to us and the Federal Reserve shouldn't have done the last interest rate increase that they did? That's what I've been thinking over the weekend. Clearly not what Mr. Waller has been thinking, though. Looks like we've given up about half of that spike that we had. Hard to determine monetary policy lags. But it does appear that they are shorter. That's a little bit. I moved my monitors around and everything so that I could record yesterday, and I'm still kind of trying to get them, organized correctly. Treasury yields are probably where they should be, and now they're coming back here. That's curious. I tell you what, it's been a minute since a central bank speaker has moved the market this much, isn't it? Hasn't it? Yields are about where they should be. It sounds like that the speech is over. Well, we'll see here. It's kind of hinting that they want to go a little higher, but I don't know. So the thing here was there a large meta order like scheduled for today? I'm not so sure. I don't think you usually you do that sort of a thing after a holiday. So we kind of didn't have any hints of that in the first 20 minutes, but now we've got Waller. If there was, and let's say that it was long, then you're going to see these guys start to freak out, right? And we did just see a little bit of stops and pushing higher. I think that probably some of the people that tried baiting this got caught up there a little bit, though. Okay, what's this? Nick Timrose. Fed Governor Chris Waller isn't pounding the table for another rate hike this year in an interview with Steve Leishman, but he's not closing the door to it. Now, I do not think one more hike would necessarily throw the economy into a recession if we did feel we needed to do one. So that's really curious that the thing that Nick Timrose is picking up on is not necessarily dovish, as though the market is interpreting this as clearly dovish. It's really hitting the dollar, though. Man, look at the dollar. He says, I don't see anything in commercial real estate that would threaten the economy. That was like, I don't think you should be saying things like that. I think he just jinxed it. $1 trillion deficits sustained don't look good for the U.S. fiscal position. Yeah, like if the economy is doing so well and if the stock market is doing so well, obviously we're off of our highs from 2021, but things are going pretty okay. We should be reducing the deficit. We should be reducing deficit spending. It's very concerning to me that we're not seeing that. I want to say like he shouldn't jinx it, but like being superstitious is bad luck. So I'm gonna hold my tongue. I'm not gonna tweet anything. Oh, you've been running a small investment advisory firm? Oh, maybe you can teach me a thing or two, because like I got the Series 65, but I'm not really sure what to do next. And even if I like set my company up and everything, I'm not sure how I would go about in advising customers and what kind of investment advisory type of business I would want to target. Oh, but Tariq is only 17? Wow. Wait, so do you have a Series... If you don't have a Series 65 and you live in the US, you should be going and getting one. Forex Live tweets, the US dollar gives back after the Fed's Waller indicates no rush to hike rates and says risks to hiking too much and not enough are balanced. Oh, that is a shift. So saying that the risks to the economy from hiking too much and hiking not enough being balanced is very different from what they were saying only a few months ago, when they were saying that the risks to not hiking enough are more. That the concerns from like higher inflation, etc. And I would say that I still believe that the risks are tilted towards that we get more inflation. I think that's the big risk right now. I think that that's the larger risk, is that we get a second wave of inflation. Because the economy seems to be, obviously unemployment has gone down and everything, but with interest rates where they are at like 4.2, I think that the market seems to be okay with that. Thing is, in Germany, the law is a bit different. We don't have a license, which is called a bit different, but it is similar to a series license. So when you say you do investment advisory stuff, what would you, how would you describe the investment advisory work that you do? Is it like they tell you everything about their investments and their financial position, and then you give them a packet that says, here's what you should be doing? Or like, I don't know. There's other things like they just give you all the stuff and you just tell them what to do. Yeah, I get a lot of people here on the stream because we're so early, and most Americans don't wake up that early. I would say that probably about half of the stream people that come and watch the stream are European, especially before the S&P 500 market open. Uh-oh. Oh. He's been here all week though. Uzi was like, oh, maybe that's spam, but Tariq's been here for a while, so I think it's okay. I wouldn't give him my money, but like, it's okay. What's this? What is this? Trading Floor Audio retweeting somebody I've never heard of before, who claims that she reprimanded by elders at Dayahi over direction of the nation. Explain this. What is Hayat? What is this? This event or what? Okay, let's see here. And who are these elders? Are there elders that she? I thought that she had completely taken over. Okay. By Daihi, the Daihi, I think that's how you say it, is a coastal resort town on northeast China's Bohai Sea. Uzi is like, whenever he sees an Arab name, it's Salim, all right? It's true. Well, that's what I'm like. Well, so last week, a couple of like new names had come in, and I think that was Salim messing with us, but. Yeah, are we talking about 7? Oh, 7 is Salim. Okay, I thought we were talking about Tariq. I don't know. That doesn't seem like... I don't know, man. Having like coming in and having like a nice back and forth conversation with somebody and being friendly is not Salim. That doesn't... I don't think that's him. Oh, it's Mr. M? Oh, yeah, okay. I was kind of wondering that because I was like, well, 7, I don't think I remember that name, but he's kind of talking like he's here every day, so so that makes sense. No, I don't, but I don't think that that's Salim. Okay, so now Tariq is telling us what he does. So I do 1 optimization and 2 construction. In both of the cases, it is based on their needs: inflation, guard, college fund, etc., etc. Case number 1 is they have a PF and then optimize it, or a portfolio and they optimize it. And case number 2 is they don't have a portfolio, but they have an investment goal or other needs based on them. I construct them a portfolio plan. Gotcha. But when you do that, do you like put together a packet and then you give them the packet and they pay you a flat fee for that packet? Like, how is the product delivered to the customer? You're all too easy. What makes you think that was Salim, though? I admit that our tradecraft on detecting when Salim is around has gotten a little rusty because he hasn't been around as much because of school, but I still feel like that there are some characteristic things that he does that are almost like a dead giveaway, and I wasn't seeing those there. So so while I'm at it, because we got Uzi here, what do you guys do over the weekend? I take it that the hurricane didn't hit you at all. Did you do anything interesting? Did you guys make anything for Labor Day? I feel like you have a big 3-day weekend like that one should have created something. I was actually, oh my gosh, so wanted to work on my desk. We were like, oh, you did urban hiking. No, so we were going to work on the desk, but my uncle, he had run out of his thyroid medication lately and still wasn't feeling super great. So he didn't really have a ton of energy. But then the other thing was that like we had painted the legs for the table recently, and I guess we screwed up and thought that they were dry when they were not. And so we kind of like set them down somewhere and it like left imprints, like carpet imprints in the paint. So like I think we have to like repaint that. Just very frustrating. Oh wow. 12-mile hike. Abandoned golf course. There's such a thing as an abandoned golf course in Florida? How can something like that and them not like snatching that up for property, man? So if maybe they've abandoned the golf course, but they have not chosen to sell it, I guess. That seems like that would be valuable land, though, you know? Your uncle lost it after Credit Suisse screwed. It's owned by the county now. They were going to try and develop it, but the surrounding HOAs opted to pay higher taxes for 15 years to make it a park. Oh. I would have developed it. But of course the HOAs don't want you to develop it because that won't help their property values. Oh man, that sucks. We've got enough crappy Section 8 apartments. I really think you got a real problem in this country where there's a pretty large segment of the country that has a real benefit if they keep housing low, and they're kind of like in denial about it. Like they're not admitting to themselves that they don't want the housing situation to get better. Okay, so Drake says, yes, correct. So I do the research, write it into an in-depth document, and then they pay me for the document. Okay. Because I was thinking that maybe I would start out that way, but I think in the long run that I need to be actually managing money. Counties run DIE initiatives in housing, filling nice areas with trashy poor people on every new apartment complex because developers get big bucks for doing it. I have been paying in... Oh, you have been playing in dirt all week. Wait, were you at Burning Man or something? Was Did you guys see all the crazy stuff from Burning Man? Wait, I lost. Where was I? I'm in the middle of pulling copper cable for new electrical service. I almost bought the Ebola at Burning Man hoax. Okay, so I can explain this actually. So, when you get mud like that, there is actually a well-known disease of some sort. I think it may actually be some sort of a parasite that will cause fever, boils, throwing up. Some of those symptoms are like similar to Ebola. And so I think that I think probably a few people did catch that. And then that is how it kind of blew up into this rumor that there was Ebola at Burning Man. When I had first learned about what was going on over there, you know, the first video that I had seen about it, they said that they were calling in the National Guard. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But that was a complete lie. So... It's actually really frustrating for me to watch the evolution of this news story about Burning Man, because at first it comes out and there's all these people saying stuff about, how terrible it is and this is a huge humanitarian disaster and everything. And then all of the people, although they don't really have internet, but they started to get internet and whatever, the people actually at Burning Man come out and are like, no, that's not actually what's going on. And like, if it's a liberal cause, that's what you see is all of the people will come in and just put it to rest. But like, if it's like a conservative cause, the conservatives will come out and like set the record straight, and everybody just ignores them or it gets squashed. And then some crazy narrative about that event will just perpetuate forever and ever and ever. Like, to be honest with you, the Las Vegas shooting is one of those examples, because the stories of the people that were actually there at the event did not get widespread play. But I find the whole event so incredibly fascinating. So I don't think that I would ever go to Burning Man. Not because like I'm opposed to like going to an event like that or that environment per se. I mean, obviously I've never done drugs and I'm like vehemently opposed to drugs. But we did rave camping events. We went to a couple of local events like that, mostly to try and promote myself. But it was fun. I thought that had a, other than the drug part of it, I thought that they had a good culture and everything. Like, I enjoyed it. I just would not take that much time out of my life to go all the way down there just to be blasted in a sandstorm. Because that's what I usually see. Like, my friends that do go to it, they come back, just cover everything that they have covered in that dust. And that dust is so fine. It just, you never get rid of it. You never get rid of it. And the sand is like, just sucks the moisture right out of your hands. You have to wash yourself with lemon juice to get rid of it and stuff like that. I just can't imagine how bad it would be to have a flood and that kind of mud and have everybody be stuck on the river, or not the river, the lake bed. That's just crazy. But you know what? The reason I find it so fascinating is because Burning Man has created a culture. I'm interested in cultures. I'm interested in community, because like, I feel like that's the big thing that we're having problems with in our society, is that there's no culture. I give you an example. So the big kind of party in the East on Memorial Day is Electric Zoo. And this year was like a complete disaster. They didn't have the stage set up on time, so they had to delay the festival a day. Then when people went to Will Call to get their tickets, they had to wait in a 5-hour line just to get their tickets. And then, like, they had paid for their tickets and they said, oh, the venue is already at capacity. So they oversold it. And then the kids just, rushed the gate and went in anyways. Oh my gosh. And I kind of, people were like, this is all the fault of these big, money grabbing promoters are just doing everything they can to cut corners to make money. Well, that certainly happens. But I kind of feel like that you get the events that you deserve, because the community that you have, it plays a large factor into how the promoter behaves and which promoters do well and don't, and so on and so forth, right? So I feel like you get the events that you deserve. And we have this entire generation of people that basically don't know anything about living in a community, because you don't go to church on Sunday anymore. Churches is where Americans largely got their community from. If you don't go to church anymore, The only thing that you know about like living in a society is high school, and that's like a different kind of a thing. You know, because you don't necessarily have like a unified community in a high school, you know? So you have these generation of people that don't know what it's like to live in a community. And the result is when they get out in public in large enough numbers, they just act like heathens. No values, and they just go and destroy everything. So now you have Burning Man is kind of an interesting counterexample, because there's a place that you do have a culture and a strong culture, and it looks like to some extent the culture did benefit them. Like, doesn't sound like anybody really had trouble with getting fed and water and everything, because people were so willing to share their resources, and like they're all about that, and they're all prepared. But at the same time, Burning Man for many, many years has been allowing their culture to atrophy for monetary benefit. Because basically what's been happening is this was kind of all, I don't want to call it a socialist experiment, but I do kind of feel like Burning Man is kind of like an anti-capitalist or anti-consumerism experiment. So it was all like radical self-reliance, and you don't sell anything there. You can trade, but there's no money, there's no vendors. Okay, but then they've been allowing them to have these camps where all of your amenities are, you just buy the camp, and then all your amenities are taken care of. They feed you, they house you, everything, right? And these like super rich people have been going into these camps, and it's just I think that those camps are completely the opposite of what Burning Man is supposed to be. And now you kind of see how it's atrophied. You get all of these people that aren't invested in the culture, and what do? They just go crazy. Like all of the people trying to escape when they told them not to. Like they said, don't drive on it yet, but a lot of people did anyways. And now they've just like absolutely destroyed. I don't know if it's like a huge deal. I don't know if the BLM cares about that or not. And all of the stuff that they're going to leave behind, like, oh my gosh, are they even going to let them do it again? I don't know. But some interesting lessons. I would look at that, Americans, because there are real consequences to, you have a culture and then you kind of let it atrophy. It's not, the outcomes aren't good. Look at your PMs. Yeah. I don't know, man. I would not. Just doesn't seem odd to me. Was talking to Uzi, I don't know. I really don't think it's Salim though. I think it's somebody else. I think it's a new kid. You're just explaining your rationale. I gotcha. No, I think Tariq is much more friendly, and he's kind of got that like I'm gonna go out and make friends kind of attitude. That's a little different from Salim's. Salim will like come in and he's like, okay, what kind of question can I ask Sept to maybe make him look stupid? That's what Salim would do, right? But it could be him. You never know. Anyways, so so there's a couple of other interesting things about this Burning Man thing. Okay. The second thing is, like, that was all my TikTok was this weekend. So I thought, oh, it's giving me this stuff because I kind of like dance music stuff anyways. And then when the TikToks came across my For You page, I watched them and was really interested, and kept watching for when people were giving like new updates and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, I'm just on Burning Man TikTok now, right? No, apparently all of TikTok was on Burning Man TikTok, and a lot of people were like getting frustrated by it. So I'm like, why is TikTok pushing the Burning Man thing? Is that just the algorithm working? Or is this one of those things that where like, because there's this whole thing about Burning Man is just rich people and screw those rich people, that TikTok sees it as a potential, like a way to brew dissent and, you know, conflict amongst Americans. Because I really kind of am, as time goes by, I'm more and more convinced that TikTok is straight up pushing Chinese propaganda, like to try and make Americans less unified. Because it, even though I don't watch the content and I hate it, it like really strongly pushes like communist communist accounts, accounts that are like just straight up tankies, right? And there are a lot of creators that are like crazy lefties, and just terrible creators too, by the way. Like they say some of the most offensive and awful things, and they make the dumbest mistakes and share like crazy bad misinformation, and they're insanely popular. And then there's these other accounts that, you know, they spend most of their time debunking and like providing solid information and helping people understand world and economics, and they're not even half as popular. And there's only like one or two of those guys. And so I continue to think that like TikTok is doing this on purpose, because it's what they show you in the United States is not the same sort of stuff that they show you in China, you know? And then that's the other thing, though, and that's the third interesting thing that I find about Burning Man, is that it has become another one of these like cultural, like national cultural battlegrounds. Because most of the comments that I was seeing online were like, you know, these rich people so totally deserve it. You can see it's how different it is from like my kind of take. Because my take first is like, oh, well, there's culture here. Let's study this culture and see what we can learn from it. But then my other take is like, well, if there's a lot of more successful people there, why is that? What's going on there? Well, I think it's just that it's close to California is what I think it really is. But apparently like a third of Burning Man participants are making more than $120,000 a year. So it is quite a wealthy event. So be interesting to see what happens, like with the cleanup of that, if that story progresses over the week. It doesn't sound like you guys were on Burning Man TikTok though. Probably because you guys aren't on TikTok. Maybe I just need to stop watching TikTok, man. I was getting like my thumb was getting like inflamed. So I think that means that I need to spend less time on my phone. According to Google, only $575. I think that it was more like $700. Yeah, you don't have to be rich to pull that off. So the people that I knew when I was in more into the scene, like in 2008, 2010 time frame, maybe up to 2012. Those people, like, they prepared all year for it. Like they very much, it was a very central part of their life. So you definitely don't have to be rich to go to it. But for some reason, starting around, I don't know when it was. I want to say it was before Trump, though. Yeah, it's certainly a trek, yeah. I think it was before Trump that they kind of changed, like, and I forget what the specifics were. I remember reading about this way back in the day, but like they like tweaked 2 rules, and that was kind of what allowed these billionaire camps to show up, millionaire camps to show up. It's way too big of a trick just to get high, drunk, and laid with hairy, strange women. Well, it's a successful community. That's what interests me about Burning Man, is it's a successful community. It's like, what do you do to make a community successful, to make people invested in the community? Yeah. But you know what? I think I know the answer to this question, and I think it's been something that I've known for a long time that we talk about. But I would have thought, you would think, okay, so I want to create a community, and what makes a successful community, and what makes people like dedicated to a community? Well, if you have the right values and things are set up right, and the leaders are really effective leaders and stuff, and then eventually you'll create a strong community, right? That's not it at all, actually. It has more to do with the experience that you're going through as a people together. So you get together and you go through a grueling experience. You experience travail together. That's what makes a strong community. So that's why military units tend to be extremely close. Like when you're in the Marines, and those people that you're with in the Marines, you become like brothers, is what I'm told. It's because you're training together. You're constantly pushing your bodies. That sucks. That's travail. And you come through, and you come out of that, and that's what makes it so close. Or especially if you've actually been in a war, then you've experienced death together. Like, that brings you closer together. CrossFit communities tend to be very close-knit. Why? Because they're going in there every day. They're working out hard together. Kind of makes it a little bit hard to take advantage of that in the same way that you can in the real life, because we can't, like, do physical activity. We could go for like a really long hike, and that would probably bring us all closer together, right? But we do this trading together, and that is hard, and that is a real journey in and of itself. And so those of you that have been here with me trading this and have been through the ups and downs, you're here every day, and that's what makes our community much more consistent and close-knit than most internet communities are, even though it's like super tiny niche, right? As an outside observer, I've always gotten the feeling that there's a lot of sharing in CrossFit communities, like swinging. Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe. So like, my experience with CrossFit is I do Olympic weightlifting. So a lot of the people that come in and pick up the weightlifting, they were first introduced to it in CrossFit. So a lot of them were former CrossFitters. But then more so than that, for about a year or two, we were at a CrossFit gym. There was this period where we had lost our one gym, and we kind of went between places until my coach made a gym in her basement. And so when we were there at the CrossFit place, but we were kind of separate from them. So I don't know. I didn't get to know those CrossFitters as well. But that's why, like, the whole point of that, though, was like, when you go out and you look at like communities, that's how you can have communities that have like such bizarre ideas and do such odd things, and even have ideas that are just like objectively stupid. but they're still like really successful, strong communities. Like Burning Man. if they're honest, and I think most of them are, they realize that the whole premise of Burning Man is kind of contradictory, because they want to be like anti-commodification, no money, kind of communal, almost like anarchist socialist sort of a community, but everything that they get comes from the outside and comes from capitalism, essentially. You can't, and every once in a while, well, not every once in a while, every year there's a bunch of kids that are like, they experience this and like, oh, this is so cool, we should just stay here. And so then they try and make some sort of a camp, you know, a community where they just perpetually live like forever Burning Man, but it doesn't last for very long because, you know, you actually have to work and do stuff, right? But then there's this other side, which is if you have a culture that is both a strong culture, close-knit, but also has successful values and so forth built into it, those are the sorts of things where they go and they just take over everything. Like, you know, like I think Goldman Sachs is probably a good example of that, where basically their ideas and way of doing everything basically took over all of corporate America. Like there have always been excellence, integrity, teamwork, and you go and you look at the corporate values for like almost every corporation, they have some variation of those three values. I always think about that because I think that the primary benefit, the primary thing that we accomplish here by doing the stream is that we create a community, and through that community can help us be more successful in our trading. And so I'm always thinking about what are the values and things that I can kind of focus on to strengthen the community. No, I keep coming over here and like looking at my Discord and seeing like a private message, but it was just because I never clicked in this window. Oh, this guy asks a question here in Discord that I missed that I should respond to here. Okay, so over here on the treasuries, we have come back to 05.5. I would say that the volume overall since this has been kind of flat. It looks like that net they sold it, especially in the 10-year treasury. So the way that the difference between the different treasuries is kind of working, it makes me not so interested in trading it. But here we're just having the S&P 500 open, so. Oh, okay, so I was like trying to think, oh, there's a bunch of different things that we need to talk about, and I just got done yapping about community and Burning Man. There was something else that we needed to talk about. It's the spreadsheet that I made. Oh, this gets kind of interesting. Okay, so what I did was there's this page. Let me find the page for you. Non farms revisions. Okay. And then there's this revisions page. So there show you going all the way back to 1979, what were all of the revisions. So it shows you, okay, so it comes out that first month, and then it gets revised the next month, and it gets revised the next month. And it will show you the difference here. What it's showing you basically, in this one right here. Okay, so here's the number. First estimate, second estimate, third estimate. And then over here are like the deltas, like how different was it from, okay, the third minus the first. Okay. So what I did was I went and copied this information over into an Excel spreadsheet. Is it on sheet 1? Yep, it's over here. And I basically copied it over here. So this histogram that you got here is the difference in between the first estimate and the second estimate, essentially. Okay. So this first line is 50,000 jobs. So when you look at it, you see that like a difference of 50,000 is not unusual. Although, where's my ink? Not prepared. You can see that since the pandemic has happened, they're a lot more common. But another thing that's interesting to note is that it's more common to see the numbers revised upwards than it is to be revised downwards. And when they do get revised downwards, and there's a lot of them, it tends to precede recession. So here is COVID, basically. Over here was 2008, I believe. Or maybe that was... No, this right here was the 80s, I think. No, this... I can't remember which one. One of the places where you saw a lot of really bad downward revisions was in the 80s, going into that monetary crisis that we had in the 80s. So, kind of what I'm seeing is when you see the non-farm jobs numbers get revised downward over and over and over and over and over again, it tends to be something that happens before a recession. So that was my take. It was kind of like, okay, like how unusual is the downward revisions? Well, to have it be revised down almost every month is extremely, extremely unusual. But with these amounts of revisions and stuff, it has happened before. It's just the last time that it happened, it was like in the 80s. So if we were to say, oh, they're absolutely cooking the numbers, I think that we have some counterexamples of showing when these numbers were that much off and it was a recession that came, and it wasn't necessarily some political gamesmanship. Because I was kind of trying to find some evidence that, you know, that there really are fudging the numbers, and I don't see that, or I can't prove that just by showing the data and showing, you know, it's just improbable. Oh yeah, I could put the chart here on Discord. You know, it should be pretty easy for you to just pull that data off too. Let's see. I think I put it in documents. Where did I put it? Oh, it went into my OneDrive. I hate that. No? OneDrive. I just need to save it. Save a copy. This PC. There we go. I'll just put it in the main channel. I don't know if we really need to put this one in the downloads channel, but how did you come to well, because I was so perturbed on Friday. I was just so upset by how big the revisions were, and that we kept getting big revisions over and over again. And that, it's really shifting what people's opinion of the economy is. And I'm just like, these kinds of revisions are unacceptable. But then when I went back and I looked through the data, I found out that it's not the first time that this has happened. So, because I kind of thought, once you start getting revisions that are that big, do you go back and start to say, maybe we need to change our report or our methodology or whatever? But the revision is just part of the report, and it also kind of seems to me that when you're moving into a really strong expansion or a moving into a contraction, that you'll see more revisions, which does not bode well for the market, right? So the last time that we've seen these kinds of revisions, it was not good for the economy. Should come over here, check some news stories. Joseph Wang, an inverted curve squeezes NIM of dollar lending by foreign banks who do not have access to retail deposits and must fund at money market rates. This is likely contributing to the contraction of offshore dollar credit and the global manufacturing slump. Oh, interesting. He has a story about that, but you have to be subscribed to it. Jim Hirio, it seems like the Saudis may be kind of mad that the administration manually pushed down the price of crude to help win an section. Does he mean an election? I don't know if it really helped them. A little concerned that in 2024 we could be seeing higher oil prices and that it affects the election. Oh, so I haven't even been paying attention here. Oil took off from 85 to 87. Brent oil prices traded above $90 on media reports that both Russia and Saudi Arabia will extend their production cuts. Oh. So I had mentioned earlier that Goldman had the price of WTI to 98 or something like that. And I kind of thought, okay, well, we need to keep tabs on that. But today it just went. It just went today. Anthony Grudelli says, even though the summer has ended, don't anticipate September being significantly busier than August. The Bollinger Bands are sideways in the daily chart. Well, yeah, it'll be like that until it's not. But he's probably right. Next 2 weeks are probably still going to be pretty quiet. Meanwhile, over here in the treasuries, it looks like that they created enough of a hole from that there's just kind of this area between 05 and 08 they've been racing back and forth across. And then we're getting back into these comments about Fed's Waller. You know, I do think for the next 2 weeks that it will be relatively quiet. But I can kind of see things setting up for the later half of September and into October to be pretty crazy. So, yeah. The 5-year is breaking out here. But I'm not seeing the volume following it. I am seeing the dollar getting hammered here a little bit and the Japanese yen trying to break out. When oil is moving like this, you'll get interesting movement. And wow, so I have wheat up 0.5% and oil up 1.5%. Everything else on my board is negative today. Oh my gosh, Ben Shapiro tweeted this picture. So it's got the picture of like a really muscly white guy and a really muscly black guy, and they're like, you know, holding arms together. Did the meme. Democrats and Republicans, there's no way we can possibly lose to that guy. Or yes, that is exactly what the 2024 election is. Oh man, there's Andrew Tate just tweeted. He says, if you're smart, then you're the enemy and they want to punish you, so prepare. That's what Andrew Tate is saying this morning. Well, that little breakout died out. Wonder if I should have sold that breakout. I don't completely get this meme, so I'm not going to show it to you guys, but it was basically asking, where can I find a goth girlfriend? And it said, no, we destroyed the American shopping mall and they lost their natural habitat. Oh, okay. Breaking. Roseanne reveals that ABC was planning to fire her even before her tweets. That's curious. Yep. Hot Topic stores at the mall. Well, so I couldn't... It was saying something like that they killed them. But that's why I was like, I don't know if I should show this. But... I don't know if it really makes sense, because it seems to me that like the goth emo chick thing is like even more of a thing than it ever was. So Purposeless lives leave voids to be filled. This is the lack of a community. Like I said, the way that Americans so going back to the Burning Man thing, the thing that I find particularly interesting is that I believe that the left is further ahead of us on the right in terms of this community issue. The left seems to be more not only more cognizant of it, but is doing more to create successful left-leaning communities than the right is. Why is that? Well, because where American community came from primarily was on Sunday, going to church. So when you have vast swaths of Americans not only just no longer going to church, but not believing in God altogether, or just not being religious whatsoever, they lose a large portion of the community aspect. And then you compound that by doing things like shoving them all into cities, having cities where you really can't walk, not having much open space for you to meet people and do things. And then the real killer, like on top of all of that, cell phones, where everybody spends all of their time on the phone. And so they have no desire to go out and to meet people, because they kind of feel like they get that socialness filled through the phone. You just get all of these people that just have zero community. Go on. Who's he telling the story here? Kennel Tech at our vet is super progressive hippie guy. We talk politics for a second every time I stop in. I had a sort of an aha moment when we were chatting last night. A surprising amount of the progressive political viewpoint is whatever makes religious people mad because my family made me go to churches. Get right? That's what I've been trying to say, Uzi. Is like the modern left is basically a bunch of millennials that never got over the fact that their parents made them go to church and told them not to sleep around. That's what it is. And then when they got out of the house, they went and they slept around. And now they're like 35 and they're like, oh, this kind of sucks. And they're not willing to sit down and admit that actually my parents had a point. Even though my parents didn't necessarily understand it, they were just going off of tradition. This path that we have gone down has been poisonous to our society. And they don't want to admit it. And so now what they're doing instead is they're clenching on to their politics as like their religion. And it's kind of turning icky. My family made me go to church too, but we weren't a super religious family and never really developed a resentment of that. I find the resentment of religion to be trivial. Well, so my eldest son, he doesn't want to go to church. We tell him you need to go to church. I say it's important that you have close ties with people in the community. But then at Mormon church, it used to be different, but now we have, there's like sacrament meeting, which is like everybody in the congregation. And then we have like Sunday school. It's either 1 week it's Sunday school and the other week it's the men and women separate and do priesthood relief society is what it's called. He will not go to class. And he talks about it like he's not wanted there or something like that, which to me seems so ridiculous. So it's like either there's something going on there that you're not telling us about and you've had certain experiences that you're not telling us about, or you're just too in your head, because people will definitely get in that, you have social anxiety and all you do is think about yourself and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and people must think that I'm so stupid, right? And the solution to that is to just, think about other people and like, how can I make this other person feel more comfortable? And then you forget about yourself. I feel like maybe that's what he's doing. But he resents going to the class. So I can see it in my own kids. And I'm concerned that, because he's already kind of gone down some paths, they kind of ended up being some dead ends for him, I think. But he's not, these people, I'm telling you right now, will get to kids can consent to sex because of that. Yep. Because basically they think that at 16 I should be able to go and sleep around. He did. No, I've told you about this, right? This is where it gets weird for me because, so he met a bunch of friends at the LGBT club. That's how it started, because none of this, wasn't aware of any problems until they started going back to school after COVID. Maybe I'm just that far out of touch with what's going on with my kids. But anyways, so he gets a bunch of friends. So he starts dating this girl, except for that this girl claims, except for that this is a transgender boy. Okay. So he starts dating this transgender boy. And then eventually he broke it off with her because her dad was concerned. So she was posting stuff online that I was kind of like, I'm a little concerned by the stuff that I'm seeing this girl post on TikTok. And I wanted to talk to him about it. But here, the thing is that they use these fake names, man. So if I have a concern and I want to talk to their parents, I have no way to even find them. So my rule now has been, if you bring somebody over, I have to know who their parents are. I have to have their parents' phone number before I let you bring other people here. That's my new rule. Because I've had to implement because of this culture thing basically makes it difficult to know who's who. Anyways, he got concerned and moved her to a different school, which I don't think helped them at all because apparently she just found another group of transgender kids at a different school. But so he kind of broke it up with her because it's like, well, it doesn't work anymore because we're not going to the same school. Okay, cool. So he's got this new girl who is also a transgender boy. So he's dating girls dude, I'm telling you, man, of course, I don't see every interaction that they have, but I see a lot more than he thinks I do. Let's just put it that way. And everything about their interactions look like typical guy and girl in junior high stuff. But apparently it's a gay relationship. Right? And he even has the shoelaces that are I'm a gay man, except for that you're dating transgender boys. Yeah, well, his dad is gay. So remember that the challenge that I also deal with is that dad is gay. And mom knew that dad was gay when they got married, but he was like, it's okay, I'm gonna, I'm not gonna be that way and yada yada yada, and be a good church boy. And then after they had kids and everything, she found out that actually the whole time he was cheating on her with men. That's the story. So there's the other household who he is now remarried to a man. The other household has influence, and I think on that particular kid I lost that battle. This is interesting to listen to because I thought that I was telling you this story because I was specifically telling it to you, but you weren't there or something. So that's funny that you haven't heard this before. But yes, yeah, I've touched on it before. It 100% seems to me to be like a social contagion. 100%. I'm utterly convinced. I mean, that's just, there's no way, I don't know how you would prove something like that empirically. But my own experience from watching this play out is that it's a social contagion. Yes. Almost certainly. Because, like, straight up, these girls aren't transgender boys, man. I just can't imagine. I'm almost positive that if these girls just are just allowed to be kids and like everybody just kind of stands back a little bit, don't give them all of this treatment and all of this crazy stuff, that they would just become normal girls. I'm almost 100% positive. I also think, and this is, I tell you what, man, this is something that really, really bothers me, because my son is autistic. I mean, he hasn't been diagnosed. The one that's my blood, okay, Asher, he is almost certainly autistic. He's 3.5. He doesn't say a word. He is just different, man. He is just not the same as other kids, okay? And it is a lot of our energy, okay? We cannot take our eye off of him for fear that he will kill somebody, because he just doesn't seem to understand. Like, I don't think that he's a psychopath, but like, him like smothering his brother is like a real concern. We had to get rid of all of the blankets. We had to get rid of all of the chairs. It's just like, okay, so he's autistic, okay? And what do I see? These girls, they're a little autistic. These kids, they're a little autistic. These are kids that have ADHD or autism to some extent, and or are like socially stunted. And what's happening, in my opinion, is that this ideology is taking advantage of that autism to lure them in. And the reason I say that is because I saw it in the rave community. Because in the rave community, it's like you never fit in anywhere. People are always making fun of you. And then you go to the rave community where there is radical acceptance. So it doesn't matter what kind of quirks you have. Everybody loves and appreciates it for what it is. And it's not just like, oh, we just kind of put up with whatever, but then we kind of do our own thing. No, like people genuinely will embrace you. Like, I was genuinely embraced and made really good friends in the rave community, even though I always kind of held it at arm's length to a little bit of an extent, because I didn't want to get involved in the drug scene, right? Dude, the treasuries are selling hard here now. Okay, so did my stream go down? Well, so we are getting factory orders. Negative 2.1 versus negative 2.4. Core durable goods 0.4. US durable goods 5.2. I'm going to refresh my squawk here. I'm a little surprised that they're moving down this hard. I feel like that's got to be something else. Let's just keep an eye on it. But anyways, so if you're autistic, you've never been accepted by people anywhere, and then you come into the rave community and you just immediately get accepted, and they just get pulled in immediately. You just get pulled in immediately. And my stepson, he's always been kind of like, he's had social problems in the past. Like, I just remember watching him like play at the playground when we'd go to the park with the other kids, and I'm kind of like, why is it that whatever you're doing is always to be like the most annoying possible? That's not how you interact with people. And I think that he was bullied at school to some degree, right? So I kind of think that the same thing kind of happened, was like he feels a little bit rejected. He goes to school at first time, and his first year at junior high was the pandemic, and so then the first year back, he finds this group of people, and then he just latches onto it and makes it his identity, right? When I was a teenager, I was a poser. I wanted to be a punk rock skateboarder because that's what the chick I was into was into. Punk rock music was terrible to me, and I was afraid to ride skateboards, but you could dress like one. And you know what? That's nowhere near as harmful as messing with one's gender identity. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, the story, this is where it kind of was, the new development that is interesting, okay, was that the transgender boy that he was dating broke up with him. So like the way this all played out was super, super weird. Okay. This girl comes, so they're also polyamorous. Okay. So this other girl, which I don't know if she's a transgender boy, but this other girl comes to our house. She claims that like she's been kicked out of her parents' house. Also, she has cancer and like a brand new car. It's a friend's car. I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm deeply, deeply suspicious of this girl because I don't believe her. Don't believe her at all, right? I almost wonder if they wanted to come over, if she wanted to come over just to see like how we would like, if we would like bring her in, like maybe she could live here or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but like not even a week after that girl shows up, his other girlfriend breaks up with him. And when one of them breaks up with you, they all break up with you. So basically he got kicked out of the polyamory group. So now it's like, because this one girl, the one that showed up, she actually goes to a different school, but we have like open lunch campuses. So for lunch, she always comes over and he sees them and he says that they just stare at him during lunch and stuff. And he finds it extremely distressing. Sounds like worse psychological torment than being outright bullied. To some extent, maybe it is. And like the thing is that he seems to be particularly vulnerable to it. Like when things aren't going his way, it's immediately like, maybe I should just end it all. Which is like, what do you do, man? What do you do? And the boy needs some toxic masculinity. Well, when he's getting, we got the punching bag so that, because he was like punching walls or something. So he got the punching bag and that kind of helped a little bit, I think. Needs to realize that he's his own person and everyone else is pissed. No, I don't think that that's it. I think that this is what happens when you don't have a real community. And see, like, where's your real true community comes from? Well, not true community, but like, what is the basis of community in the United States, at least? Part 1, family. Part 2, church. Doesn't want to go to church, family is broken. You see? So then it's like, well, we need a community. But what do you... It's hard to have communities now in the United States. I'm finding, especially after COVID, I'm finding it very difficult to find communities where you say it's that they're toxic. I think that it's usually the community that give those young people guidance and kind of keep the teenagers under control, if you were to put it that way. I didn't have, because like, here's the thing. I remember through most of junior high not really talking to people. Now, this was mostly because of my medication. Kind of makes you antisocial, I guess you could say. People would come up to me and talk to me and try to make friends with me, and I just wasn't good at conversation. Right? So I would usually either go to the library or I would just sit there if they wouldn't let us go to the library. And it wasn't until I was, into like my junior year that I met my group of friends from computer classes. And then we started having LAN parties and stuff. And then I had like my community, my group of friends in high school. Right? But before that, like, I just didn't care. Like, because I had such a strong sense of self from my family and religion that when things like that come along, and then when I was an adult, and you're kind of like a free floating as an adult, because then you kind of, when you get out of high school, you kind of lose your community again and you have to find a new one. And so I started going to raves, and a lot of people get, like my little sister, that's what happened to her. She got sucked into that, and then she started doing drugs and stuff. But I didn't have those problems because I had such a strong sense of self from the community that I had before that, right? Like this sort of a thing where you're like, you got to raise a man who can build a house himself. I think the way that you get people that are that's what's so paradoxical about it. Okay, like going to attachment theory. People are more independent, more successful, more resilient if they're comfortable relying on other people. It's so paradoxical. You'd think, well, the person that would be able to do all of those things are the one that they're comfortable doing it all on their own. But it's not. It's the having the comfort and the knowledge that I can make close relationships with people, and if something happens, I can just find new people. And if I don't need them right now, then I don't need them right now, and I'll be able to find them when I can, is what gives people that ability to go out and be like that and to be your own person. That's my knowledge of it, at least. So you can see the conundrum where it's like, I can kind of see what's going on, but I have no effing clue what to do about it. No effing clue what to do about it. Yeah, we've got to find the zen of it, accepting people for who they are and wanting absolutely nothing to do with them. Yeah, well, so and this kind of brings us back to our community, because one of the conundrums that I face is like, okay, so I want my community to be inviting, is what I would say. Like that is one of the cultural aspects that I would want to see, is being inviting, which means that when people come, they feel welcomed and they want to stay because people are friendly to them, and they immediately find that place because they're missing it, right? Because I want to provide that for people. Okay, but it also seems to me that if your community is very inviting, that you make yourself vulnerable to narcissists and other psychopaths. And I don't know how to find a balance. It's like, it seems to me like I need to work more on what are some communal values that kind of deter the narcissists, You don't trust people who are very inviting. But to be honest, though, I don't feel that our community is very inviting. Because the issue is we have like what is really our community? Like, what are the things that are like at the pinnacle of our community, like the speculator Sept community? Excellent integrity, excellence, teamwork, and empiricism. And so anytime anybody comes in here and starts saying stuff that's not empirical, they immediately get chased out. And that's not very inviting, because most people are not empirical, right? I'm a rabid isolationist. Yeah, but I don't know, Uzi. So my uncle is radical. You would love my uncle, man. You two would get along. He is radically isolationist. I think that with my uncle, that he basically has untreated ADHD, and it has led him to become so fed up with the world. It's just that everybody and everywhere else that he sees, he just can't stand them. He can't, especially this whole post-COVID world. And he just doesn't want anything to do with it, and he would rather just be by himself. Wanting to be left alone is all you can ask for these days? But you're in tech. I mean, you yourself are technically not alone because you're married, or you have a partner. I forget the exact. No, I'm pretty sure you're married. Like, wait, you guys do have kids, don't you? That's all I need. So, but I asked though, like, so I guess the point of all of that was like, did you really get to that point by yourself? You know what I mean? Because I feel like I've gotten to that point. But the way that I got to that point was both one, through my upbringing, and then B, being older, having to go through quite a bit of trauma, to be honest with you. It took a lot of people abandoning me, betraying me, and hurting me. You know, it was like, I kind of... I kind of feel like that my obligation, like one of the things God wants me to do, is to turn around and to create those communities and help people. Like when I was single, you know, once I figured things out, I turned around and I helped a lot of people in the single community, and I kind of miss doing that. I think my wife kind of misses doing that because I think she was super involved in it. And I can see it in my wife. So I didn't even get to. So here's why I've been thinking about this. I look at life like an equation. The more variables there is. No, I think it's really simple. Humans are tribal creatures, and if you don't have a tribe, then people have a lot of problems. And I think that if you create a good tribe, that you solve a lot of the problems. And I mean, that's why this channel exists, because like to go in and trade, put that much effort into trading, and I mean, trading can be traumatic. For me, it's in all honesty, and this is just me, and it's not like you're weak or whatever, but that's just like my brain chemistry and my genetics and everything. Like trading is dramatic. Taking losses is a little traumatic for me. But I have a strong tribe. You guys are here with me every day. And that's how I'm able to keep trading. You know? And the thing that's so wild about it is that, again, you don't necessarily have to have like super great values or anything like that to create a strong tribe. You just need to have like shared experience, essentially. Shared experience of overcoming things is what pulls the people together. So I want to go out there and do it, but I feel like I just don't know how to do it. Anyways, so here's why I've been thinking about this. Because my wife, she just has been recently feeling like, I think, a little empty to some extent. Because the thing is like the toddler, man, is so much work. Like a toddler is usually a lot of work, but this autistic toddler is like 3 times as much work. It's like, think about the worst points when the kid is like 2, right? And just extend that all the way out until they're like 5 or 6. That's like what we're going through. And so I think maybe to some extent she's kind of been communally isolated. She thinks, though, that it's the dogs. She thinks that when her dog died, she kind of never got over that. And when we got another dog, it was really more my dog, and it doesn't really snuggle with her or anything. So we got a dog. She's like, okay, I found the dog. We're going to go get it. And I was just like, okay. How do they schedule another thing for 8:30 today? I need to look at that a little bit more. It means I got to get going in 10 minutes. Anyways, so she got a dog. But then we had the family over. It just kind of ended up being an impromptu barbecue for Memorial Day. And that was really nice. And so that whole experience and everything that happened this weekend, like, just reinforced to me this kind of feeling that I kind of already had for a while, which was like, hey, you're not doing a very good job with the community bit. And you're not giving your kids strong community. How am I going to prevent these problems if Asher even never learns to speak? It even becomes a functioning member of society. I guess Ethan will. How do I ensure that Ethan doesn't have these problems? I need to have a stronger community. When our first dog is about to be 9, when he goes, like, I'm going to be shut the F down for a bit. Well, it's been like, I think it's only been a year and a half. So I guess it, to me, it seems like a lifetime ago. I think one of the problems is that, like, one of the things is that a lot of community these days are based around activities, certain activities. And so what I really need to do is I need to find an activity in which the entire family can get involved. Because my community has been weightlifting, really. And I don't think that the entire family can be involved in weightlifting. Especially not toddlers. So I need to find a new activity on that front. Yeah. How long do you think it would take you to get over it? I don't know. The thing is my wife, she's had so many animals in her life, you know? Like, you talk about dogs that she's owned, we're talking about like dozens of dogs, but mostly because I do the process of putting him down and getting cremated with incredible efficiency and speed. Ouch. Well, when you guys remember when my sister died, I didn't trade that whole month. Because the other thought that I have was like, you know, if we had our stronger extended family community and we're getting together more, which we weren't because of COVID, if it would have been different. She was going to become a real estate agent. We're about to start a real estate empire, man. I think she would have continued to have done great things. And like, this eldest stepson, like, there's genuine concern that someday he will just end it. I don't know how to stop that. So it's just like, I feel like that society in the world was not prepared for these kinds of issues, and we just don't know how to deal with them. My wife won't be able to handle my emotions. Yes. So you just go into get shit done mode, yeah. Like, the reality of it here is that I've been in... Sorry, New Squawk was talking. And I do got to get going here in 5 minutes. Basically what happened to me was I got divorced. That was like way harder than it probably should have been, just because, you know, I take things so hard. And then I had like many false starts after that I felt were pretty traumatizing. And then I just went into go mode, started taking ADHD medication again, and just go and get things done. And like I remade the family and everything, but that was not necessarily going to be a viable pathway for other people. You know? I can come in here and be like just attached and just completely focused on whatever it is that I've got to do. But that's not going to work for everybody else. And I think one of the values that I also think are really important that we're losing is you got to make things. So like, yeah. Making a community is probably something that I got to do, and I'm just not sure what the... And I've done it before, and I've been very successful, but I just don't know what's the community I need to make now. Maybe we should just create one of them Jim Jones kind of, CrossFit style cults. That's the... Go out into the wilderness, grueling survivalist experience. Work is a big thing. Well, yeah, but I feel like that work is kind of like, I don't know. So that's another interesting aspect of community is how corporate America has kind of weaponized community in order to get more productivity out of workers without compensating them fairly. A lot of millennials have picked up on that one. You know, like anytime that you go to work and they're like, we're like family, like that's a huge red flag. Yeah, it's because they're weaponizing community against you. Too many people. Well, yeah, I feel like that, like we go to these festivals and the people just trash everything. I feel like that, again, is like a major part of the community. Because if you feel like you're part of a community, you don't want to trash a community. Like, you don't poop where you eat. I'm still a little unclear why those numbers that we had at the top of the hour moved the treasuries down so much, but the activity has basically gone flat since then, so I don't think we're going to have a whole lot more activity. So I think we're okay to shut the stream down early today since I got a meeting and everything. But yeah, like the issue is really like, when I was a younger self, I had no problem finding these sorts of things, but it's like COVID destroyed all communities everywhere or something. You know? You bought another share deal. That's interesting. Well, we'll see. I'm kind of worried that this next week could still be really slow. Except for those services PMIs. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, I guess I better get going. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay